The board members are
I
calling.
don't have a question, I have a sunshine.
Test 1, 2, check.
All right, hope it goes as quick as last time.
like to call the meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Mr. Romano? Here. Mr. Marchman?
Here.
Mr. Lake? Mr. Martre?
Here.
Mr. Martucci?
Here.
Mr. Mondial?
Here.
Mr. Mandela?
Here.
Mrs. Sankey? Mr. Powell?
Here. Stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Monday evening, we were in executive session from 6 p.m. to approximately 8 p.m. on litigation, safety, and security. On November the 12th, we had an executive session that went from 6 p.m. to 8:15, and that was on contractual issues and personnel. This evening, and I apologize for being late, we were in executive session from 6 to approximately 7:20 on litigation, safety and security, and personnel. We don't have much in attendance tonight, but if you wish to speak to the board, you need to sign in, and if you have not signed in yet, we'll give you a chance to sign in. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes, and please be respectful. Thank you. Do I have a motion for the minutes of the previous meeting?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion for the treasurer's report? Motion and second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion for the payment of general and federal fund bills?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion for payment of capital reserve fund bills? Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion for payment of cafeteria fund bills? Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment for agenda items. We have one speaker, Ms. McCoy.
Good evening, thanks for your time this evening. I don't know who exactly to direct this question to, but can somebody tell us the plan as far as COVID moving forward? For instance, why wasn't there a possible shutdown for yesterday, today, and possibly on a return from Thanksgiving break to Thursday and Friday? I think that just gives us a big window for our students to not be in the building and hopefully create a safer environment, not only for the staff, not only for the students, but for our families that we bring possibly a virus home to. Is there a change in the plan moving forward? It wasn't addressed last night at the meeting, so I figured I'd ask it tonight.
Thank you, Mr. McBoyle. On November 23rd, yesterday, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, through the Department of Health and the Department of Education, released new recommendations for pre-K-12 schools following identification of COVID-19 cases. That was released yesterday. Our board made some decisions tonight that we will be completing our attestation to ensure implementation of mitigation efforts. So our mitigation efforts will comply with the recommendations for pre-K through 12 schools. In addition, in recognition of our community spread and the level of community transmission, we will be making December 3rd and 4th virtual days. So our next face-to-face day will be December 7th. So in addition to the previously announced virtual days of December 1st and December 2nd, which were Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, December 3rd and December 4th will now be virtual days for the entire district. Our next face-to-face day will be December 7th. That will be communicated between tomorrow and Thanksgiving break to the families and what that would look like. We applaud the efforts of our teachers that have been putting virtual work out there, and we continue to see growth in that virtual work in the virtual classroom, and we expect that to continue as well. And we see many, many more live streaming classrooms and things like that. The community is encouraged to look at the recommendations for the pre-K through 12 schools following these identifications that's listed on the Department of Education. It's a three-prong approach that includes level of community transmission, the size of the building. So we will have 5 buildings that will be classified as small population buildings, and we will have 2 buildings that will be classified as medium classifications. Within those, the numbers of positive transmissions, the number of positive cases in that building, then indicate a recommended number of days of closure that we would then move to virtual. So it will be based on that three-prong approach. As long as your county is still in substantial level of community transmission. So the 3 prongs are your county level of transmission, your building size, and the number of positive cases. There's a chart that
What
PDE
was
puts
that
out
third?
that we're going to,
Third one?
the third one is the number of positives. So the number of positives, the size of the building, and the county designation as either moderate or substantial. And then we will follow that chart. We will attest to that, and that will be placed on our website as well and submitted to PDE.
Great, thank you. Second thing here, Mr. Grinaldo, I know your son is a teacher in the district. Do you think your son is working very hard this year, personally, as a teacher? Do you think your son is working hard in the classroom this year? No idea? Okay. Mr. Martre, do you think your son is working very hard? Can we make that assumption? Okay. Mr. Briley, do you think our staff's working hard this year?
I do.
Dr. Coons, do you think your staff's working hard this year? Mr. Amatic, do you think your daughter's working hard this year? For me personally, it has definitely been my most difficult and challenging year as a teacher. I've never worked harder. I was actually in this building last Saturday for 4 hours and last Sunday for 4 hours working on material. And I know a lot of teachers out there work a lot harder than I do. Unfortunately, I'm hearing a person on this board doesn't think our teachers want to work. We're the only ones bothering them with phone calls are teachers. Hopefully this is not true. If so, it's totally irresponsible. And I'm offended by that. I'm honored and proud to be associated with the janitors, the teachers, the security guards, the lunch ladies, the support staff, the student aides, the secretaries, the maintenance workers, the bus drivers, the IT guys, the guidance counselors, the administrators, the coaches, and anyone else who has worked so hard to make this year as successful as it has been. It has been a very difficult year. I'm sure you can attest to that as well. I just want to thank everybody, including the board, for the service to this community. Okay, it's been a struggle for everybody, and thank you.
Mr. McBoyd, Jamie, one thing that I will mention, and what I've noticed in our district, all the teachers, administrators, all work very hard during this time. And I don't think there's anybody slacking on what they're supposed to be doing, whether it be our children or anyone's child, to believe it. But I do believe that we have to work together to make this work. It's going to take all of us. I just can't just take the teacher.
Agreed.
We'll work very hard with you, teachers, everyone.
I know your kids work well, work very hard. My son has your daughter for class, and I'm so glad for that. I talked to Mrs. Ostrowski all the time during a quick lunch break, so I know how hard, we only get a couple minutes to cross paths, and we exchange a few words, but I know how hard these people are working, and I just wish people would see that and appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving into departments, athletic and recreation, please, Mr. Martre.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. We have requested approval of the following 2021 spring supplemental contracts contingent upon receipt of a signed contract no later than 1 month after issuance, including the posting of the contingency if it's not met as proposed. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
B, spring equipment bids, request approval to advertise for the spring sports supplies and equipment. And I so move.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
C, volunteer coaches, request approval of the following volunteer coaches for the 2021 school year. Sean Nicholson and I Enfield at high school wrestling. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
D, resignation, accept the resignation of Tyler Kennedy, junior high wrestling coach, effective immediately. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have. Mr. Lake, do you have anything additional? Mr. Evans? That's all we have, Mr. Madden.
Thank you. Moving to buildings and grounds, Mr. Panzel.
Request approval of the deed of easement between Bullskin Township, Collinsville Township Joint Sewer Authority, and the Collinsville Area School District for tax parcel identification number 05-01-0010 near Falcon Drive. And I so move.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, request approval of the following substitute custodians for the 2020-2021 school year: Jaden Bennett, Kenny Brooks Jr., and I so move.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, request approval of the following utilization requests. Number 1, Falcon Foundation is requesting to use the CTC culinary classroom for filming of the Hall of Fame presentation December 2nd, 2021 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I so move.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, Cam's Instrumental Music Department will be having an annual band concert Tuesdays, December 8th, 2020 and May 4th, 2021, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I so move.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Just-
Question.
What happens with the time we're off? People hang up, we find out we're going to close school another month. What happens to the sponsor?
If the building is not having a student population, then extracurriculars in that building would be suspended as well. And
I think they should be made aware of
I will. And thank you. And just another point of clarification is that it will follow the new guidelines for building capacity that were released yesterday on November 23rd as well, that changed the capacity. So we will follow that as well and model after the concert we had here Friday, which was a nice, well-spaced event and practiced physical distancing. So we'll make sure that happens as well.
This is a new item added from yesterday. Mr. Lake had a question. Anybody else has any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, Cam's Vocal Music Department is requested to use the middle school auditorium for an annual chorus concert Tuesday, December 15th, 2020 and May 18th, 2021, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I so move.
Motion and second. Question.
Same deal, let them know.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll meet with those guys. Thank you.
Probably should make all of our anything, sports, extracurriculars, anything aware of the new guidelines.
Yeah, I was going to ask also, is social distancing, I guess, we limit the number of tickets, I don't know if you can do that, but
Correct, yeah, I mean, if we model, but apply the new numbers that were released November 23rd, if we model what we did here on Friday, I believe that the concert that was here on Friday was as safe as possibly could be, and that was our Falcon Band concert. It occurred at 7 p.m., and you can see some of the remnants of the physical spacing that was there as far as if you lived in the same household, each participant was given a certain number of tickets. Those participants, their guests, if they lived in the same household, could sit together, and then other people were 6 feet distance, and even the student performers were rotated in and out so that no one performer was next to another performer for less than 6 feet for 15 minutes. And I applaud Mr. Yotze in his efforts to not only have a great, wonderful experience, but to make it as safe as they could. And then that would be applied to the CAMS instrumental and CAMS vocal departments as well.
okay, thank you. Any further questions since this is a new item? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next request. Request approval of additional COVID PPE supplies. So we need 17 55-gallon drums, cleaner for sprayers, for the cost of $23,842.90. I so move.
Question?
Motion and a second, do we have a question? Oh, question.
Have we purchased any more acrylic for any other teachers or any other areas in the district? I know at one point we refused to purchase some, I believe it was the last meeting or meeting before. Are we still getting CARES money to purchase that stuff?
No, I think we have one set amount that we received, and that's what we're taking this money out of as we need it. And right now, we're going to be running out of the cleaner for the sprayers by the holiday. That's why we needed to order now, in case they run out, so that we have it. I don't even know, maybe Mr. Kirsch can answer this, but I thought he said that this may not even carry us to the end of the year.
Right, gallon, I put 5 gallon drum in the stockpile. Everybody else, schools have 5 gallon drum working out, I have one.
Mr. Harshman asked, do you know if we're purchasing any acrylic shields? You know, the big ones, not the ones that go on the face, correct?
Correct.
He's
That's yours.
looking for partitions.
Yeah, we have 3 of them up there in stock right now. I'm bringing one to Marshallville and Springfield. It's the only one that actually hit one after our original list.
But you have a couple extra.
We have 2 left. We're actually giving them to anybody who requests.
If there's an ADA compliance type of situation or, some sort of compliance situation, we've tried to, have some criteria for these as well.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Horstman?
Thank you.
We have a motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And just let everybody know, we had a committee meeting was held on November 4th at 4 p.m. And Mr. Martrade, anything else? Mr. Kirsch? That's all we have, thank you.
Thank you. Carnegie Free Library, Mr. Horstman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. I have nothing. Mr. Martucci? Mr. Pansella? We have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Moving to Paulsware Career and Technical Center, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Martucci, you have anything? Mr. Montiel? Mr. James here?
Yes.
I have nothing, sir, thank you.
We have nothing, Mr. Romano. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to curriculum, please.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. I'd like to report that we had a committee meeting on November 17th at 5:30. It was in person and virtual. I would also like to commend Dr. Koontz personally she's been having meetings about curriculum, and she's been meeting virtually with our staff after school, and I think that's not only the safest way, but it allows many people to be able to participate without actually leaving their buildings before going home. Thank you for doing that. Mr. Mongel, do you have anything else to add? Mr. Science is not here, but That's all we have on curriculum.
Thank you. Cyber, please.
Thank you. Under cyber, I had mentioned yesterday that I would have some numbers to report. Mrs. Sharif and Dr. Stern sent this information to me. I appreciate they compiled it monthly. I just want to let the board know that in elementary in Fulla, we have 92 students participating in K through 5. In CAMS, we have 88, 6 through 8. And high school CTC, there's 151 in 9th through 12. That's a total population in our Fulla program of this month of 331. I also want to mention that in our brick and mortar Fulla at the high school, we have 88 students, and at CTC, we have 58, which is 146 additional students participating in our Fulla in-house program. Mr. Harshman, do you have anything to add?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Mongeau? Dr. Stern, Mr. Betts? That's all we have, Mr. O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to federal programs, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. Request approval of the agreement between Intermediate Unit 1 and the Connellsville Area School District to manage the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Funds for non-public services in accordance with the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, ending September 30, 2022, contingent upon approval of the GEARS funding sources, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
We also had a committee meeting which was held on November 17th at 5 p.m. And that's all I have. Mr. Mortray? Dr. Coons? That's all, Mr. O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to finance, Mr. Mongeau.
Thank you. Item A, request the approval of the budget transfer, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item B, just an announcement that we had, our last committee meeting was on November 19th at 1 p.m. And that's all we have. Mr. Grinaldo, do you have anything? Mr. Panzella? Mrs. Grinnell? That's all we have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to food service, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. We have nothing at this time. Mr. Panzella, do you have anything? Mr. Harshman?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all, Mr. O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel review and liaison, Mr. Mongeau.
Thank you. Item A, request approval to hire Linda Feliciano as a personal student aide effective November 24th, 2020, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item B, request approval for Megan Knopf, a teacher, to take a child care leave of absence for the second semester of the 2020-21 school year, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item C, request approval to hire Kimberly Yager as a long-term special education substitute teacher at Springfield Clifford N. Fritz Elementary for the second semester of the 2020-21 school year, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item D, request the approval to hire Michelle Lowe as a long-term business education substitute teacher for the remainder of the 2020-21 school year, effective October 30th, 2020, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item E, request the approval for Amanda Pershing, a teacher, to take a leave of absence beginning February 15, 2021 until on or about May 3rd, 2021, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item F, request the approval for Tina Hoover, a clerk, to take a leave of absence beginning November 16, 2020 until on or about December 31st, 2020. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item G, request the approval to accept the retirement of Johnny Myers, the custodian, effective February 21st, 2021, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item H, request the approval for Kelly Eidner, teacher, to take a child care leave of absence effective January 11th, 2021 for the remainder of the 2020-21 school year, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item I, request the approval of the following additions to the professional substitute list for the 2020-21 school year. Rachel Chichi, a nurse. Emergency is Tyler Henry, and another emergency sub is Abriana Colbert, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item J, request the approval to accept the retirement of Tammy Gratchik, secretary, effective December 31st, 2020, and I so move.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item K, request the approval to accept the resignation of Jody Curry, support professional, effective December 31st, 2020, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item L, request the approval of the following addition to the support professional substitute list for the 2020-2021 school year, and that would be Lynn Holm, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Mr. Bernardo, do you have anything to add? Mr. Martre? Mr. Coker now. Mr. Bradley?
Nothing, thanks.
That's all we have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to policy and legislative, please, Mr. Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. Request approval of the following revised policies. First reading, October 28, 2020. Number 103, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment, affecting students. Number 104, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment, affecting staff. Policy number 1 to be determined, live stream video. Policy number 255, educational stability for children in foster care. Policy 247, hazing. Policy number 249, bullying and cyberbullying. Policy number 317.1, educator misconduct. Policy number 825, maintaining professional, adult, student boundaries. Policy number 111, lesson plans. Policy number 203, communicable diseases and immunizations. Policy number 209, health examinations and screenings. Policy 314, physical examination. Policy number 334, sick leave. Policy number 705, facilities and workplace safety. Policy number 803, school calendar. Policy number 904, public attendance at school events. Policy 907, school visitors. And no questions, objections, I'm sorry, and I so move.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 That's all I have. Mr. Lake? Mr. Granado? Mr. Bradley?
Nothing, thanks.
That's all we have, Mr. Lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Safety and security, Mr. Martre.
Thank you, Mr. Matty. We had a virtual meeting on November 23rd at 8 a.m. And at this time, we have nothing to add, and we'll be having another meeting, committee meeting sometime in December here, I'm assuming around the 10th, the week of the 10th. And that's all we have.
Thank you. Moving to special education, Mr. Martre.
Special ed, we have nothing this evening, and our committee meeting was held November 9th at 1 p.m. Mr. Lake, you have anything additional? Mr. Martucci? Mr. D'Amico? That's all we have.
Thank you. Student services, Mr. Mongeau.
Thank you. Item A, request the approval of the 2020-2021 English language learners participation form for instruction hours at an estimated cost of $102,604. And I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And item B, committee meeting was held November the 9th at 2:00 p.m. Mr. Lake, do you have anything to add?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. D'Amico? That's all we have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Technology, Mr. Panzo.
Nothing, Martin,
Nothing, thank you.
Ronaldo, Joe? Nothing, thank you. Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Transportation, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Request approval of the following additional driver for the 2021 school year. Request Catherine Grimm, T.A. Nelson Bus Lines Incorporated, and Kenny James Conetsco, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Panzella, do you have anything to add?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Archer?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to President's report. Request approval to submit the Section 520.1 emergency instructional time schedule to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for the 2020-2021 school year, and I so move. I have a motion and second. Mr. Bradley, would you explain this, please?
Yes, this permits the district anytime throughout the 2021 school year that we have moved to full remote or we have remote days to account for those as instructional time and as educational days in our 180-day requirement. It's a nice formality. It memorializes something that we were doing, and it permits us to go ahead and do that and authorizes us to have those days that we know are valuable.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. We have no items tonight for non-agenda items. Mrs. Coons, do you have anything to add tonight? Mrs. Grinnell, are you on there? Okay. And Superintendent Bradley, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate to the board and to the public, our movement post-Thanksgiving. We're heading into a nice break here for our students and our staffs and our families, and we wanted to make sure that we communicate that accurately. So we will be virtual on December 3rd and 4th, and that is in addition to the already virtual days, December 1st and 2nd, when we return from Thanksgiving. We look forward to Tomorrow being virtual parent conferences, any parent that has not been able to schedule their parent conferences so far, please reach out and do that. We look forward to that being unique and something that may be successful in a post-COVID world for our working families. It may be more convenient for those families to reach out to our teachers and get some feedback on their students during a less than face-to-face method. And after the Thanksgiving break, the district will be submitting our attestation ensuring implementation of mitigation efforts. And basically what that says is that we will be following the November 23rd recommendations from the Department of Education for schools following identification of cases of COVID-19. That's the three-prong approach, which has level of community transmission. Right now, our level of community transmission in Fayette County is substantial. It takes into consideration the size of your building. Our buildings are primarily in the small category, and then CAMS in this building, the high school, are in the medium-sized building based on student population. And then the last prong is the number of positive cases within that building. There is a chart that we follow, and it indicates when we can remain open, and if we have to close and go to full virtual, how many days we would have to go to full virtual, and that would be communicated to our families and our students as well. I also want to thank everyone involved. When we do have the patients that is shown for a positive case in whatever building, the amount of patients that the individuals in the buildings are showing, the students, and then the compliance from our families is really outstanding, because we're seeing a lot of compassion rather than accusations. And I'm grateful for our staffs, I'm grateful for our students, and I'm grateful for our families for showing that empathy and compassion as opposed to making someone feel guilty or accusing someone of something. Lastly, I wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving as we head into the break. And I know it'll be a time well spent with our families, and it will be a different time this year, but again, it'll be a time for all of us to rest, relax, and hopefully rejuvenate ourselves, so when we do hit the ground running on December 7th, back to that face-to-face model, we'll come back fresh and ready to go. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Medic,
you.
I have a question.
Thank you, Superintendent Barry. Yes, Mr. Bernard.
Mr. Medic, I'd like to ask Mr. Bradley and Mr. Ghost, if they could see that this new document, I know it's available on the PDE website, if it could be made available on a click or an obvious place on our webpage, so that our community, our parents, teachers, even students who wish to look at that document in total, not a breakdown, but in total, could do so, if that's possible. Thank you.
Absolutely, good idea. Thanks.
Thank you. And I just got one more comment. Mr. Bradley, I know you and Dr. Coons don't have enough to do, but just to remind you, and I'm sure you're aware of it, we need to start looking at our course selection handbooks for the high school and the middle school, so we can get those board approved. Last year, I think we had some issues with it. And it went into the spring a little bit, and things started to get late. So if, I don't know if we can get it next meeting or January anyway, the course selection handbooks to the board so we can approve them and allow the scheduling process to start to take place. But don't ask me how you're going to do that. But
Sure. Well, you'll be glad to hear that today Dr. Coons met with the high school, and she has plans and has already made plans to meet with the middle school for their course catalog. So just today she met with the high school and started that out. So she has it on her radar, and I know she's well prepared and has kept me abreast on those, if there are any changes, and how we will present them to the board. Thank you for the reminder.
great. I think right now we're scheduled for the 2nd of December for reorganization, and the board secretary will advertise that. I think we're going to have another one in December. Yeah, I think maybe the week after. Yeah, that
Tuesday, Wednesday, 16th, 17th, 17th.
Yeah, we can, maybe the 14th, 15th if possible, 16th like we've been doing Monday and Wednesday. So if everybody can plan for that at least, keep those dates open. And then we get the reorganization and we can nail it down in any future meetings. But, yeah, I think the reorganization meeting will just be reorganization because I think that's what we did last couple times anyway. And then we'll just schedule a regular voting meeting the following week or the week after. So right now, organization will be just that, the organization. If there's no other comments or questions, do I have a motion to adjourn?